This is the first tycoon on Roblox. Well, at least I think it is. I've spent the last few days researching numerous different tycoons on Roblox, looking on Wayback Machines, and searching through endless slow-loading pages in an attempt to find the first tycoon on Roblox. And I realized after that I could have just searched what is the first tycoon on Roblox, and well, I found it pretty easily, but not in the way you'd think. Released back in January of 2008 by Eljay and Reapz. Uber? I wonder if that's where the inspiration for Uber came from if that's the case. Brings us the first ever tycoon, Bread Factory Tycoon. While the full original game is unable to be played due to a 2009 update that broke the full game, the fandom wiki actually has a link to a remaster. What? I'm not here for a remaster, I'm here for the original. Or at least something close to the original. After some heavy searching on some of the other tycoon/games that Eljay and Reapz name, which is the name I'm sticking with, I ended up stumbling across a remake of the actual classic Bread Factory Tycoon. This is the quote-unquote original Bread Factory Tycoon, released by TK Driver X and showing to be released back in mid-2009. This game has somehow seen numerous updates, fixing different issues, but still keeping the core style as similar as it can get. So now that all the pretenses are out of the way, it's time to get started with the first tycoon on Roblox ever. Once we get into the game, we get put into a main menu screen with some options. Note, this was added in an update and doesn't exist in the original game, but who cares, it's just a selection screen. This game features two different roles that you can play, either a factory or a mechanic. The mechanic does stuff, I think. All I saw from the game was that you could fix someone's staircase since I was playing by myself, but based on the screen cap, you can easily see that the mechanic side has a much different looking tycoon than the bakery side. So after a healthy amount of thinking, I decided to go for the factory side since I want to bake bread, damn it. And once I actually spawned in, it genuinely felt like I was playing all the way back in 2008 on a yellow stained 4x3 monitor and an equally yellowing PC case running 2 GB of RAM with an Intel Core 2 and blasting LimeWire rips of Linkin Park songs. After taking a look around what my new venture had to offer, I realized that I have to buy the flour in order to mix it with tiny drops of water in order to make dough. Once the $4 flour ball has enough water mixed in, it drops a raw bread dough onto the conveyor belt and makes its way out onto the definitely sanitized and ready for raw food transport truck. And after waiting for what felt like forever and was actually only 2 minutes later, I unlocked automatic flour production, which meant that I no longer had to sit around walking back and forth purchasing flour, since the machine now does it for me. But once I had done that, it meant that I had virtually nothing to do at this point except for wait for the flour and water to go into the mixer and pop out raw dough in an endless cycle that had me trapped with nowhere to go. So in my newfound power of infinite bread making, I decided to take a stroll along the world and see exactly what there was to offer. And well, it's not much. Walking outside shows us on a floating baseplate in the sky with 3 other factories and 2 little shacks sitting outside on the opposite ends of the map. And while I was looking around, knowing I was stuck in the sky, it had me thinking, where the hell are these loaves of bread going? Admittedly, they weren't really going anywhere since the second it lands in the truck, it just disappears. But why are we in the sky? There's nothing and nobody to sell the bread to, so where could they possibly be sent to? And as I pondered and went to a state of psychosis worrying about my situation of endless suffering and bread making, I realized I had enough to finally purchase an oven. Gone are the days of me selling raw bread dough and becoming the industry mogul I was so desperately waiting to achieve. So now after waiting a solid 5 minutes to buy it, my bread now sells for $55 instead of the measly $25 it was selling for earlier. Also, who the hell is buying raw bread dough for $25? Is the shipping cost from the sky too expensive and the costs have to be brought down to the consumer? Let me do some math really quick. If the average raw bread dough weighs between 7,000 to 1,000 grams, which is equal to 1.5 to 2 pounds with these average size metrics, and say we were a Canadian company in Toronto shipping it to Washington, D.C. in the United States, without including taxes and import fees and all that other stuff, the total cost for shipping said product comes to, well, around $23. Mind you, I had to switch to ground shipping since air travel is only for larger parcels, exceeding somewhere around 70 kilograms of product at once. So I guess it kind of makes sense, but also why am I even bothering with this and trying to figure out the Bread Factory Tycoon economy? It's a game from 2008. Why did I even write this portion of the script? But in my incessant ramblings, I end up earning enough to purchase a chimney for my oven, which does quite literally nothing except for adding a long blue pipe going up and out of my roof. So yet again, the only thing I can do is wait. Just wait for my money counter to go up $55 at a time until I can finally purchase another worthwhile upgrade. So after another few minutes, I went for yet again an upgrade that did literally nothing to help me. Oven reinforcements. Not really sure what it's reinforcing since it's just added 2 beams to the top and nothing else. I've had enough of the useless upgrades. This time I'm waiting for something worthwhile. Double auto production speed. So after waiting yet again, I finally unlock the next upgrade and actually start to notice a large difference in my earnings. What used to take several seconds to output water and flour now takes several less seconds. But even though it looks like a minimal change, it actually increased the rate in which the bread dough was flowing out at around double the speed, which made my waiting experience a whole lot easier to bear. So with my increased factory production, surely it won't take as long to get to the next upgrade, right? Well, it actually wasn't too bad. After spending another 5 minutes waiting, I'd finally unlocked my first topping for the bread, which was chocolate. It's a little bit interesting, but let's not focus on that. Instead, let's focus on the other 2 upgrade options that I have available after unlocking the chocolate machine. We have chocolate purification that doubles the value of the chocolate that goes in the bread, and the starting amount gives us an extra $40 in each loaf. And then we have the fuzzy nuts machine. Both of them cost $3,000, so I really need to do some heavy thinking. But in my thinking, I also learned that the machines have an upkeep cost. Each machine and upgrade ends up taking away money. I'm not really sure where this money is going towards since we're in the sky and completely alone, but I just accept it and went for the fuzzy nuts machine because of how funny the name was. I also went ahead and bought the roof access stairs so I can do nothing on the roof. The new upgrade ends up tacking on another $40, bringing each loaf cost at the moment to a whopping $135. With this criminal price gouging, I'd better hope that no other factories open up or else my monopoly will truly crumble. After waiting some more time, I end up buying the chocolate purification upgrade and the super flour upgrade. Unfortunately, I can't have the auto flour dropper going at the same time, as well as the super flour costing a whopping $5 grand in order to make a single loaf. But what I didn't realize was that this was the easiest way to scale my earnings, even though making a single loaf took a good 3 minutes from start to finish. So after spending some time watching the mixer spin around and around, watching the huge amount of dough go through the process and dropping into the truck, that single loaf of bread earned me a whopping $16,000, all for the measly investment of $5,000. So I spent the next half an hour farming super loaves and unlocking all of the remaining upgrades, sugar water to increase the water quality and what I assume to be the final cost of the bread, and other factory additions including a fountain, luxury office fit with a chair, monitor and speakers, the super loaf statue, and finally, the glass roof. After about an hour of playing, unlocking upgrade after upgrade and making thousands of dollars in the process, the journey of Bread Factory Tycoon comes to a long-awaited end. Is there a ton of replayability? Not really unless you try the mechanics side, but let's be honest, I don't really feel like sitting around waiting for my money to go up for another hour with some slightly different buttons. All in all, was this a good tycoon? Well, not really. Was it a bad tycoon? I'd have to say not really again. While this remake of the classic might not be a one-to-one recreation since there isn't really a way to tell what the original one looks like, this was the most innovative Roblox game at the time. With a majority of the other games being obbies, destructive playgrounds, or battlegrounds of some sort, this game paved the way for numerous new advances within the Roblox creation sphere, or brick in this instance. While other tycoons started rapidly appearing shortly after Bread Factory Tycoon's released, there's something comforting and nostalgic about being able to travel all the way back to a game from 2008 and envisioning the people that must have been so shocked at the mechanics and game-changing elements at the time. And even though anyone could say, well, I could easily make this in an hour, it's so basic. Try creating a custom tycoon system from scratch essentially, with upgrade buttons, earning mechanics, and moving conveyors and parts on a Roblox studio that looks like this. You couldn't even create slanted and more accurate moving bricks without coding that kind of feature in yourself. All in all, while newer Roblox games continue to grow and develop every single day, it's nice to look back on a piece of Roblox's history and be able to ask the question, what is the first Roblox Tycoon? And well, I hope this served as a good enough answer to that question. If you enjoyed this look into the first ever Roblox Tycoon and want to see more like this, leave a like and subscribe. Consider becoming a member by hitting the join button down below to gain access to a bunch of different perks, as well as spawning the end member credits at the end of every single one of my videos. Thanks again to you for watching. I've been Meeko, and I will catch you in the next video.